Okay, insight number 49. Ending sexual fixation, which affects with intense pleasure, might be more difficult than getting rid of an undeniably unpleasant habit. This is true partly because the ill effects of sexual fixation of slight to medium stages are sometimes invisible, meaning unknown. The ill effects of severe and dangerous sexual fixations, coupled with an uncaring attitude, are well known, such as rape, molestation, and violence. The ill effects of less intense forms of sexual fixation are disruption and severing of relationships with others, years upon years of wasting one's time and life in pursuit of superficialities instead of in-depth connections, unhealthy body and mind, postponing or being sidetracked from future aspirations, and losing sight of one's true self. The lesser ills have the potential of remaining unnoticeable. Decades might go by before the ill effects of wasted time and wasted life become apparent. So we're talking here about the degrees of sexual fixation. So you could have a very low degree, medium degree, and a very high degree. The high degree of sexual fixation, in addition to an uncaring attitude that the person may have, is a dangerous combination. Uncaring attitude towards another being, you can take advantage of them in a sexual way. This is very bad. Now, the ill effects of less intense forms of sexual fixation, meaning lesser than the very severe one, lesser than that, is where there is caring, but the person is sexually fixated. There is disruption and severing of relationships with others. This is all sorts of relationships we're talking about, including the regular relationships. So you have, let's say there's a person and they're a person with a partner, right? They're in love and they're getting along and they're planning a future together at whatever stage of the relationship that they are in. They could be married, they could be getting married, they could be in a long-term relationship, they could have a casual relationship, whatever stage of relationship that they're on. The man, even though he's caring and genuinely wants to be with a woman, still has this sexual fixation thing going. And, he's fascinated, obsessed with sex to a degree. And so then he falters. He's going to be impacted by all sorts of stuff. He may be watching various sexual presentations. He may be going to strip clubs and various things. Fantasies may get out of hand when he's interacting with his lady friend. And so the woman now questions, I don't know about this guy. He's showing signs that he's sex crazy of some sorts, and she may break it off. This may cut off the relationship. This is also true of relationships and jobs, meaning like you could have a job and because you have this medium sexual obsession, you might be looking up stuff online while you're on the job. You might have a magazine, you might have videos, you might, whatever it is, you might look at some people wrongly, or it'll come out in some way. It might come out in some way. And then this is going to jeopardize your job. I remember meeting somebody who had a very high-paying job. He said, I was making $3 million a year kind of thing. And I lost the job because I was, I couldn't stop looking at sexual presentations online, at work. I just couldn't, and so they fired me, And he was, I think he was sleeping at his friend's house, or homeless or something similar to that. From 3 million to zero, that's a big thing. And the cause of it, sexual obsessions, Okay. Now, the lesser. So let's say you have, less to medium, very low to medium sexual obsessions, fixations, The mind is focused on your... Whoa. Okay, so so what is it? The negatives or ill effects of that, which is not known by a lot of people. it's it's a time that is wasted. It is a time that is wasted on uh, these sexual episodes of self-pleasure or going to strip clubs or some kind of sexual activity or thoughts or all these things. The time that it takes away from you, it's actually your life. Your life is your time. Time and life they go together. So if you spend 5 minutes of your time doing whatever you're doing, that 5 minutes is 5 minutes of your life. So your time is your life. You see, there's a connection between the two. So what typically happens is that a lot of people, especially when they're young, they see no harm in viewing sexual presentations of all sorts uh, because they don't see a physical harming of it. They're not doing anything to anybody, and they're just watching this stuff and taking pleasure out of it. So they don't understand what's negative about it. What's the problem, if there is any problem. So the problem is that time that is spent on these activities of just self-pleasure and stuff could have been spent with talking with an actual female and learning about relationships, learning about females, learning about what she thinks about relationships, what men think about relationships, what women think about what men think, and what men think about what women think. Talking and learning about interactions, learning about marriage and what goes on after a wedding, that the day after, and the fights that occur between two beings because they're both very complex beings. Think of a being here and like a jigsaw puzzle because of their complexities. They're a jigsaw puzzle. Complex, you know. This person has no match in anywhere, in the entire world. Why? Because this person is an extremely complex jigsaw puzzle. Has no match anywhere. Nobody has any match anywhere. Here's another person. Again, extremely complex being. Think of him as a jigsaw puzzle. That with all these nooks and crannies. Because why? Because nobody lives the same exact life. And nobody, even all the data from outside that is inputted into you, also the way you take it in and how you think of it, and all these things affect what you actually learn and how you learn from the environment and what you pick up, what you learn about it internally. It's a mix. So you have two complex beings that have one jigsaw puzzle that is, has all these edges that is different. You try to fit them together, you can't. They're just too complex on so many issues, you can't fit them anywhere. So what happens, you just don't fit. So what happens is that usually when after marriage, these differences come out very clearly because now they're living together and they see that, oh my God, this doesn't match. She likes to put the plates like this. I like to put the plate like this. Why do you have the plates like this? Why don't you dry them like this? Why do you even dry them? Why don't you just hang them here? So many things. Why does she? So many things about so many issues. And this is what causes problems. So also we're talking about relationships too. So people don't know each other really. We're very complex mentally, emotionally, and to learn about each other takes a long time. To learn about relationships is a long time. So all this time that should have been spent talking to male friends, talking to female friends, learning about relationships, learning that so many people in your own family have divorced, and what happened to the house after? Did the woman get it? Was her name on the signature of the house? The deed of the house was the man's. How did they treat each other afterwards? Was the man or the female, or both, or none? Were they amicable? Were they friendly with each other? Were they not? What's going on? What's going on with the alimony? What's going on? Is the alimony too much, too little? Is the man suffering? Is the woman suffering? What's going on? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, So you need to talk about these things, learn about them in reality, Say, what's going on? What is really happening with people? What are relationships like? So instead of learning about these things, what happens is that the person doesn't learn because they're focused on the illusions presented to him or her, and they're self-satisfying themselves sexually, and that's it. And so this may take a week of the person, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years. Time goes by, the person is in self-pleasure, hasn't advanced in understanding about relationships. Usually they wake up around 40, 45 years old. Getting this close to 40, they realize what they've actually missed. They don't have an actual relationship. If they are in a relationship, marriage, it's all messed up. It's in so many ways because of the sexual focus. I mean, the guy's married to the woman, let's say, and he's spending time with sexual pleasures online, let's say. Instead of taking the time to learn about the woman that he's involved with, he's over there. And so this is taking time away from his relationship. And the woman is going to feel, obviously, less. She's going to feel, oh, I'm not pretty enough for this guy. I'm not sexy enough. I'm not. He doesn't like me enough to spend time with me, and he just wants to spend time with these images online. So yeah, so a lot of males, females may not realize this, but a lot of males bring up the subject of sex because they're so powerfully, strongly, and so many times are influenced by the stuff that they're seeing, or being told about. And so quite naturally he's interested, and so he wants to pick up the subject with the female to discuss it, to learn about it. Of course, obviously, it's possible that he gets out of control as far as the depth of the subject matter. The female, of course, could be wondering, what the heck, why is this guy talking to me about this stuff? What the heck, All right. So my advice is if you find a female or a male that you can talk to about this stuff, about learning about sex, learning about relationships, talk to each other, learn about what is real and what is not real, because you want to distinguish reality from illusion so that you can get away from the illusion. You want to figure out what is positive, what is negative, and get away from the negatives, learning experience.